Spice, that's the hashtag actually. And yeah, the one and only JP's in the building, Stephanie, and your local energy provider, Otado the Beast. Guys, Safari Mugendi is here with us. She's the chief visionary and co-founder of Dishi. JP.
Yeah, so I guess I'd say I'm privileged to have been in a situation where we were trying to make a startup with one of my sisters and siblings, and you know, just going through the process of trying to get funding is normally crazy. People are afraid of going into startups because they know, where will I head after this? What are some of the mistakes that most people make, especially when they're trying to pitch to maybe investors in the startup space?
I'd say a big one, considering our market, is like pitching an idea. So you pitch ideas in Silicon Valley. In Africa, you pitch with traction.
Right.
So you have to say, hi, I have this idea. Makes sense, amazing, absolutely, fireworks everywhere, right? But then, how many people are using your product? How much revenue are you making? What feedback are you getting? Like, what's the growth rate? How many more people are you getting? So I've seen that with a lot of investors, at least the ones I've interacted with. It's like, Safari makes sense. We love you, but where's the traction? Right. So yeah, I think I'd say that's a big mistake. Like, we pitch with traction. Honestly, yeah.
Wow. Is it easy to get investors to come and pitch into your business in Kenya, especially?
I mean, I'd say it depends with who you know. Like most things, you know, like if you are privileged to have a network of, you know, people where you're able to access, you know, such people very easily, I think it may be a bit easier, right? Yeah, but I'd say it depends on the kind of people that you know, but then also what you're building as well. And I think something that I've had to learn the hard way is you do need to make noise. I've not been making noise about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I need to start making noise. But like, just making noise, telling people about what you're doing. This is the progress we've had so far. This is what we're doing. These are the kinds of customers, you know, that we have. These are the problems you're solving. Then hopefully, because, you know, we have the internet and everywhere, somebody might see it and catch it and be like, hey, you know, do you want to get into a conversation? Do you want to get on a call? And then see whether we're able to have a partnership or something like that. So I think huge part is who you know, honestly. Yeah. But then also it helps if people know what you're doing. Right.
Okay, for someone who's thinking of starting a business and they're like, okay, I don't have much capital, I don't know anyone, but I'm tired of working a job maybe that doesn't pay me, or you're just completely just tired of everything. So how would you go ahead with that? What advice would you give them?
I think I'd say if you want to start a business because you hate your job, that's a terrible idea. Right? Don't do it. It's a bad idea.
Have you at some point considered going back into employment?
I mean,
you're just like, you know what? I need some money. I need to live with dignity. You know, I need to get out there and do my thing.
Yeah, I mean, you do need, you know, a job to, especially if you don't have certain surnames, or, you know, born from certain places, right? You do have to have a job. I work. I have to,
yeah. Also, you have like a day job.
I do have a day job, yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. So how do you balance your time, you know? Because you also mentioned you have a team, right?
I do have a team, yeah. Don't even ask me about my social life. I do not have a social life.
You don't have that?
I don't have that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are some of the emerging trends that you've seen, maybe in the startup space? You're like, hey, this is exciting. I want to see if I can jump on it. Because just earlier we were talking about the AI ad that we were seeing.
Oh, yeah.
Could be about that. But any emerging trends that have really struck you and you feel like this is something I could definitely incorporate in my business moving on?
I think something I'd incorporate is like using AI agents, right? So I've seen a couple of very exciting businesses that are doing things in those lines. So there's someone who actually had emailed me a few weeks ago and he told me, I think he's Canadian, he told me they have agents that are able to pick calls for you. I found it very exciting. So instead of having a call center, you have an AI that has been trained with data about like even dialects on how to speak, right? Like, you know, it's like Nairobians and the kind of questions they should be expecting, blah, blah, blah. So this guy the AI agents sort of do that for you, right? And make it a lot easier. So instead of having a team of 10, you can basically have a team of 1,000 with AI. I found that very exciting. So I've not tried it, but I think that's a bit exciting. Yeah,
that's a pretty exciting one to watch. I think I also saw someone trying to market something like that on some ad.
Yeah.
They were testing the AI customer care, and it had a normal human voice. Because I really don't like the robotic voice sometimes. It throws me off. And you get tired of it.
Yeah.
So you want to hear a natural voice where someone is responding to you in real time and you feel like, okay, this is a real conversation that I'm having with
Because
someone.
all of them sound the same.
Yeah.
The AI voices.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They
you can
sound the same.
pretty
Please
much
stop it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Have you ever
Yeah.
considered working like in a co-working space, somewhere like an incubator, just to be sustainable?
Yeah, so I did work in a co-working space for a bit.
How was that?
It was interesting. It was interesting. I think like a big part, of this journey is just being around people
Yeah.
that are doing what you're doing, because it gets very lonely, by the way, sometimes, right? If you don't have like a sounding board,
Yeah.
somebody to talk to, somebody else, maybe they're facing a challenge with their own startup, and then you guys get together and brainstorm and whatever. I think like just having people, it doesn't have to be like a daily thing, but having a community of people, even if it's not in a co-working space, right? But people that are doing something similar, you can sort of get comfort out of that sort of community. I think, yeah.
So
Even co-working spaces, it's usually more about the community,
Yeah.
less about like the desks,
So you'd encourage guys who are just getting started in the startup ecosystem to find a community.
Yeah, find a community.
Yeah.
You like nobody can build these things alone.
What are some of the mistakes that early entrepreneurs usually make, especially for this Gen Z era?
So, I mean, I can go through some of mine. There's so many.
Yeah.
But
Tell
I
me the
think
major ones.
The major one. So a
Yeah.
big one, I'd say, when I was starting, was like I had a shit team,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
When you mean shit team, you mean they weren't
A
talented?
terrible team, a really bad team.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Yes, but then also like when I was getting people, so very like 2022, I think, or 21, when I was getting people to join my team, I was getting them because we are friends. You get. So I know you, I think you're smart, you should be on my team. Or like, I know you can code, you should be on my team. So that was the criteria I was using, like because I know somebody and I think, they're whatever, then they should be on my team. But that was a terrible mistake. I think, like usually the assumption is because we are friends, you're going to take care of me and take care of my business, but that does not happen. So therefore, friendship should not be like a scale or like a measure of what counts as somebody that should be on your team.
Right.
Yeah. So not because you're friends, or because you can actually, if you can do it and we happen to be friends, that's a plus, but it's not going to be because we are friends. Absolutely
Let's do
not.
it,
Yeah.
So
I
you
say
had to,
that was a big one.
so you had to fire them.
Yeah.
Was it easy?
No.
Can imagine.
But I think it gets easier though.
Yeah.
Like you do it and then you build muscle.
You're fired. I never want to see you over here. I've wasted my money with you.
Yeah, but I know people who've
You
really...
think I'm joking?
I know people who've had
Fuck up.
serious arguments. They've been friends since childhood.
Oh my god.
And then they made the mistake that you made, and it's actually very relatable.
Yeah.
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 And then this was like your best friend.
Yeah.
And you put her in charge of something there. And then the next thing you know, man, it's blown up. And you don't know what to
It's
do.
interesting. We were having a conversation with Tony Lang,
Yeah.
the author of this amazing books to do with investments and
Right.
funding and whatever. And he said, when you're starting out in any venture, for example, even when you're getting into investments, you need to have a mentor.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Someone
gonna, somebody's gonna
true.
walk you through the
Yeah.
ropes.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Do
That's
you
true.
have a mentor?
I do. I have several.
Oh,
Yes. So
yeah.
it's like different people support me in different ways.
yeah.
Right. So there's somebody who's like a mentor for getting access to investors. They have very strong investor network. Or somebody else is an investor for, let's say, mentor for, let's say, brainstorming or coming up with creative ways to solve problems.
Yeah.
So I think like one thing that I have learned to appreciate is you cannot depend on one person for everything, even with like partners and stuff.
Yeah.
One person cannot solve all your problems.
Yeah.
True.
You get one is good with this,
Exactly.
then they support you with that. Somebody else is good at this other thing, then they support you with the other thing. So just having like a roster, I think, of people.
I usually believe when you're getting started. How old are you by the way in business so far?
24.
No, not your age. Like, how old is your company?
How old is-
your startup?
Oh, my startup is about, we started in October of 23, so about 13 months.
Yeah,
14,
very
15.
young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you have big dreams.
Yeah.
You never want to see your startup failing.
No.
So you've already identified your biggest competitor. Have you?
Okay, so it's yes and no.
Okay.
Like it's interesting. So competitors is like, are there ways that people are solving some of the problems that we are solving? Yes. Are they solving all the problems you're solving?
Obviously
No.
not. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're in that space, you're acting small, but you have big dreams. So how do you navigate this market space when you're competing with the people who have similar traits to your business? Yeah. So how do you stay small, act small, but really you're thinking big? You're trying to stay afloat as well.
Yeah.
Yo, how do you do that?
I think I don't like the word competitors.
Okay. What do you like?
I don't know, like big brothers. I don't know. I'm just playing around, but like I think maybe like a big thing we've done is just looking at what they're doing. Are we trying to be like them? Not necessarily, but then can we learn from what they have done? Yes. Right. So let's say like, a couple of other companies in the market.
Yeah.
What did they do? How did they get into the market? How did they localize their solutions? How did they go about getting market share? And things like that. I think we try to learn from them and maybe improve on some of the things they're doing, but we're not trying to be like them. Right. So it's, take problem, it's being solved like this. Okay, can we improve the current solution? Yes, if we can improve it, fine. If we can't improve it, then what is another creative way that we can go around this problem, right? So I'd say that's what we're doing. So far, it's been okay. Just hopefully the odds are going to be in our favor.
One thing that the CEO of Jumia Vinod told us about that same question that I asked you, he said the biggest way to navigate a huge market where you have serious players, from his perspective, is you're having a very personal relationship with customers.
Yeah.
Because those guys, remember?
Yeah.
Because those guys, most
Feeling too big.
Yeah, they're feeling too. Some of them feel
That's
too big.
true.
Yeah. So you want to have that, that relationship. You want immediate feedback. There isn't like somebody between you and the customer.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you think about my product? How can I improve it?
We do that. We do that,
that's
yeah.
amazing. So I relate with what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I think like has actually been one of our greatest strengths. The fact that we don't have a lot of hoops that people have to go through before they get access to us.
Wow.
So I'd say that's something we're very, very happy
Exactly.
about.
That's probably your biggest strength as well.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
Someone's starting a company. What are some of the things that you tell them they need to have in place before they actually start it?
Actually, I was going to ask you to say that question because you had asked this before, right? But I think it got lost in the conversation. Yeah. I was going to ask you to, sort of say it again so that I'm able to answer. So things they should do, I'd say the one you talked about, like don't leave your job, like don't start a business because you hate your job.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea, right? But you could leave your job because you have seen a problem and people have the problem and people are paying for you to solve that problem. Because it takes so much for startups to get off the ground. Honestly, it's very difficult, for real. Right? Like, let nobody lie to you. It's really hard. So then, I think if you have the advantage of having a job, I'd say just keep it for a bit. Figure out some of the things you need to do in your business. Maybe you might need to pivot, If you need to pivot and you maybe, let's say, had savings for like 6 months, then you need to pivot, right? And then now you're done. You don't have like money for rent.
Yeah.
The business is not working and you're stuck.
Yeah.
So I'd say just keeping it, figuring out like the stuff you need to do for your business. How do we get traction? How do we get users? Then once you do that and you're seeing growth, then now you can leave your job. But I'd say don't just leave.
All right.
Unless you have like a big backup plan.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Awesome.
Honestly.
So thank you so much for coming through, Safari Mugendi. So if somebody wants to share your story, partner with you in some way, how can they reach out to you?
So I've not been very active on social media. I will try. But Safari Mugendi on LinkedIn. And then Safari_Mugendi on Instagram. So I'd say those ones. And then,
Yeah.
just
stuff.
LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It's been real. JP, you look like you have a question.
No, not at all. Marination time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just marinating on the information that I got.
Yeah.
We appreciate the value that you're doing, and we really wish you well from Spice After Hours. We want your business to thrive.
Yeah.
Na tunataka tudishi pamoja.
Yes.
Tunapenda kusosi.
Tunapenda kusosi.
We do. Same.
Yes.
So thanks. Have a good.
I think she'd asked whether we had a website.
Yeah.
So we do have a website. We have two websites actually. So one is dishi.com, so DISHAEY.com, and then we have another one. So it's called news.com. I wanted to just highlight a bit about what it does.
Okay.
So News is a new product that we're launching. We're very excited about it. And essentially the whole point is just to what happens in a lot of food businesses at the end of the day is they made food, the food has not been sold. This food is perfectly good. It can be sold, but it's just not been sold. So what we're doing is we are creating a platform where restaurants/food businesses can sell this food to users at a discount. So instead of throwing away the
really
food,
smart, yeah.
So instead of throwing it away or putting it in the fridge and serving it tomorrow morning,
it can be sold at a discounted price.
Exactly, on the same day. So it's still fresh, it's still very good, and then people are able to access that. So that's something we just launched that we're very, very excited about. So the website is news.africa. So the name News, right? It comes from you snooze, you lose. And because the deals are going to be available at night.
So it's news.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then the deals are going to be available in the evening because that's when kitchens close, that's when restaurants are closing.
Yeah.
And, if they just made food, then that's when we'd need to, give people the ability to just get that food.
Yes.
So so that's news.africa. Very, very excited about that one. So with the eating, so here you can eat with news. Yeah, you can eat.
We can eat there.
Yeah, you can eat.
Sour.
So yeah.
I like that.
Really cool.
That's what's up. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you
Have
for
a great
having me.
evening. Easy. So right now it's 8:30. When we come back, you get Kamakawa. You get cruising the internet right now. American Love, Kinmadi.
Love SpiceFM because of one, the music.
The playlist is good. Spice.
You played the best music.
More of the classics and the hits you love.